Jacob Kirchner, Voice of the Breeze, welcoming you to our Saturday morning live stream meditation hangout. And this morning I would like to start by playing the Hopi Message 2001 and ask you to just listen to it as if you are listening to a guided meditation. And we shall resume right after the message. There is a river flowing now, very fast. It is so great and swift that there are those who will be afraid. They will try to hold on to the shore. They will feel like they are being torn apart, and they will suffer greatly. Know that the river has its destination. The elders say we must let go of the shore, push off toward the middle of the river, keep our eyes open and our heads above the water. See who is there with you and celebrate. At this time in history, we are to take nothing personally, least of all ourselves. For the moment we do, our spiritual growth and journey comes to a halt. The time of the lone wolf is over. Gather yourselves. Banish the word struggle from your attitude and vocabulary. All that we do now must be done in a sacred manner and in celebration. We are the ones we have been waiting for. So, if you haven't heard this message before, I completely welcome you. I'm welcoming you to what I consider to be one of the most inspiring, deep, pure, and true, unarguably true messages I've heard in my life. And Um, I wonder what of this message stuck with you, stood up, called your attention. Any particular line? If you, like me, have heard this message before, and in my case, I first heard it on the week of 9/11. And since then, I've probably listened to it hundreds of times and have recorded it and have written about it. And what continues to amaze me is that I'm really practicing it. I've made it my personal practice, my spiritual practice, which now is a conscious breathing practice called the breeze. I have made that my practice. It's one of those things that's, for me, it's irresistible. It just feels so alive and so true and so inspiring that I'm always willing to be held accountable to one of the lines of the Hopi message. But the line that sticks out the most for me, and that I think is the central line here, is we are the ones we have been waiting for. You know, sometimes you hear things in life that the brain can't quite figure out. It always tries, of course, but things that we cannot really understand in our mind alone. This is one of those sayings. We are the ones we have been waiting for, that I have, rather than trying to understand it, I have made it something that I want to learn and maybe understand through practice. There's something so profound and deep about this particular line. What does it mean? I'm discovering new things about it. And it's always through dealing with life itself, with things that are happening in life itself. Like this morning, I took my little walk before this live stream, as I do daily, and there's a flea market next to me. So after having my morning tea in the park, I went to the flea market, kind of just to browse. I sometimes just love going to the flea market, browse, especially when it opens. And recently they've been asking for $1 to enter the flea market. Of course, I have my opinions about it, my good opinions about it, and one of them is that it's greedy and it's more of the same. And why are they doing this? I mean, I know why they're doing it, but I have a bit of a cynical and reactive. I have a reaction to it, you know. And yet I keep going there, and I paid $1, you know. I mean, it's not about that. It's just like there's something doesn't sit well with me with being charged to go into a public flea market. However, I've been doing it, and this morning they were still setting up the booth, so there wasn't much happening there, and I just entered it completely assuming that I won't have to pay, because I've done that before. And somebody called me and said, come here, you know, you have to pay. And immediately the reaction that came up for me was very self-righteous and indignant. You know. And I actually said, why do I have to pay for entering a flea market that's not even set up yet. And then the lady at the booth said to me, "Oh, we give you a little stamp here on your hand, and you can come back later when it's set up." Of course, I wasn't satisfied with that answer. And while browsing and walking through the flea market, feeling a little huffy and puffy, and the voice in my head about how wrong it is, and I'm being wronged here, and I should speak up as a tax-paying citizen. I should really take on my power and speak up. After all, I'm not some pisher. I'm not some schlep. I'm an adult man. All of that was kind of like reactivating me. And then, because, I breathe consciously, which means I breathe love, especially into my challenges, mental, emotional, physical. I breathe love. That's my practice. I ask love through the breath to wash clear and heal all these places in which I am struggling and I am resisting and fighting. And my ego, my ego that's not my amigo. Always on alert that, I'm being done wrong and I should stand up before, they'll exterminate me. So I breathe love into it. And this is how it connects to the hope message. And I realized that what I've been doing here is I've been taking it personally, like it was against me. And I've taken myself personally because I started to engage in this sort of like distracting conversation and giving it a lot of energy, It was about me. I had a choice. I didn't have to enter. Before I take on, is it right? Is it wrong? That I'm not just speaking about things so simple. I'm just giving a simple example. But what about the state of the world and the president and all that stuff that we nowadays are, we are very, very actively involved in because we are informed and we know and all of that. There is a part in which we take it personally. And once you take it personally, you are at the mercy of your own trauma, post-traumatic stress narrative, ego, fear, mind narrative. It's not new. It's something that you got triggered, reactivated by, and now, and something in you doesn't remember that. Really, I mean, we go like unconscious. Me. But the good news is that you can wake up from it, wake up and out of it. And all that means is take care of yourself first. That's what I was doing, I mean, once I realized that, I'm in trance. I'm in a knee-jerk reactive trance here. Taking care of myself meant that I was engaging the breath. And I was allowing the breath to wash, clear, and heal all that stuff that was going on. That was actually very simply, it was my breath was being held and was struggling. And I really go directly rather than philosophize. And it's very hard, when you have so much chatter going on to do anything about it. That's why I love so much working with the breath, because once I can just shift, drop my attention from the head to the chest, to my heart, and to my breath, to my breathing, and reach into the breath as in reaching out, but reaching in to the breath to help me wash clear and heal all that stuff. And it starts really with the breath itself. Once I acknowledge it, I can start to breathe with more ease. I can start to make space in my body for all that tension and stress that is overflowing, and a shift happens. And then I become the one I have been waiting. So being the one you've been waiting for is really taking full responsibility for your life and shifting from being the helpless, powerless victim of circumstances of life itself to becoming part of life, to joining life, to being a force of life yourself by taking care of that separation, that egoic need to be right, to go to fight, to save face, when so much of the enemy is inside, so to speak, you know. I know also this is a huge issue right now, you know, when it comes to politics and when it comes to, you know, countries defending themselves from enemies that some people are saying it's in your head, it's in your psyche. You are always defense waiting to happen. If you really look at the situation as it is, maybe you don't have to go out to war, but you understand this war starts within us. We are often living in the war zone, in the internal war zone, when there is actually no war happening out there. So what does that tell us? We have to do some work with ourselves to be up to par. You know, I'm not saying don't protest and don't go fighting for injustice. Absolutely, yes. Activism, yes. Conscious activism. The one that includes you, taking care of you, taking care of your traumatized self, of your post-traumatic stress. Inauthentic, you know, stuff that just like, it's like a little place in the brain that's being touched and there's a knee-jerk reaction. That's being the one you've been waiting for, is being the authentic you now, playing with a full deck of cards. And the Hopi message encourages us to do it in a sacred manner and in celebration. Why? Because often this process that I was just describing, it can be very tedious, it can be very painful, it can be very unpleasant, it can be shameful, and it can be violent, it's full of stress and anxiety and hostility and aggression, like the war zone. To shift from the war zone to the calm and joyful zone of the present moment, just being joyful to be alive, connecting with the breath of life and becoming part of life and not a spectator who is, you know, running some kind of a poll or opinionated without even noticing it and living in a bubble inside the head. We're not really being part of life, not really being connected to life. Huge issue right now. So many people are really disconnected from life itself. Life is prana, it's energy, it's the breath. Yeah, so I want to, of course, take you through the 5 steps of the breeze. And have you experienced being the one you've been waiting for? Breathing love and allowing the breath to wash clear and heal whatever struggles, whatever obstacles, whatever constrictions, whatever separations that you have going on right now. So just follow the instructions. You can, some of it, it's moving. It's a 5 steps of a moving meditation. So you are, if you want to move, literally move, physically move, go right ahead. I'm going to do it. Or you can visualize it if you're in a position right now. I don't know. Some people may be in bed or in a bus or on a plane. What do we know today? So just by visualizing it and paying attention, you will get the benefits. Pay attention to your breath. Breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the nose. Notice the air brushing your nose as you breathe in and as you breathe out. Feel the breath in your body. Do you notice any struggle in your breath? Open your heart to the breath and let the breath wash clear and heal the struggle in your breath. Let the pulsation of your breath become a micro movement and spread throughout your body, shaking like a hummingbird and awakening. Shake your wrists and toes. Your arms and hands. Your legs. Your pelvis. Your belly. Your chest. Your neck and shoulders. And your head. Shake from the core. Become one with the breath, allowing the breath to breathe you as you are flowing like a river and letting go of control, of judgment, being one with the breath and the music. Have a dialogue with your soul. Breathe. Standing like a tree and making space. Breathe with your legs spread shoulder width apart and your arms open like branches of a tree and your knees bent. Open your heart to the breath and make space. Create space on the inside for what you're distracted by on the outside. Have compassion for yourself. You're doing your best. Soften the grip. Allow the breath to permeate every part in your body that is feeling tense, achy, constricted. Are you ready to make real and be present? Your experience now. Walk like an elephant with grace, with your right hand on your heart and your left hand on your belly. Start walking, following the pace of your breath and the pulsation of your heart. Walking into the present, making sacred your experience. Moment by moment, breath by breath. Dialoguing with your soul. Are you ready to dance and celebrate? celebrating the sacredness of being alive now, of being loved, connected to the soul, one with life. You are the one you've been waiting for right now. How does that feel? If you'd like to know more about the practice of the artists of living, which is to breathe love and to be the one you've been waiting for, especially in life situations like I described that are challenging, you can go to our website, thebreeze, breaze.com, and find out which program could be suitable for you. I have now particularly two programs. One is a mentorship program of just really learning the skill of the breeze, and then a 12-week Artists of Living program in which you are being coached and held accountable to be the one you've been waiting for in a sacred manner and in celebration, moment by moment, breath by breath. And with these words, I am going to say bye-bye and hope to see you next week again on Saturday morning at 8 a.m. This is going to be on YouTube and on my website, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so you can watch it and share it with your friends or with your loved ones and co-workers if you feel so moved to do that. And I'm going to say, this is Samuel Jacob Kirshner, Voice of the Breeze, wishing you a day filled with joy, oxygen, presence, and ease.